We have been inundated over the past year with so many reports of USOs.
What exactly is a USO?
You've heard of unidentified flying object, UFO. USO is submerged. It's an unidentified submerged object.
I mean, I'm telling you, the email traffic has been huge. Finally, here we are on the Royal Indulgence. We are sailing into Gulf Breeze, a hotspot of USO activity.
A lot of people have seen objects here, but it's not just here. It's also throughout the Gulf of Mexico and throughout the Caribbean area.
The whole Ed Walters sighting of Gulf Breeze in the late 1980s was heavily documented with photographs.
Ed was sitting in his office, which was over there. He happened to notice out in the sky, in this direction, a glowing object coming along. He took his first picture, and the object had not quite cleared the tree. The left-hand side of the object was blocked by some of the branches of the tree. And then he took 4 more pictures that was in the clear, and this telephone transformer, or this power transformer, and the lights there, that all shows up in the picture that he took.
I have to admit that the craft in Ed Walters' photos and the craft that was hand-drawn by one of the witnesses in Cuba, they look a lot alike. Both have a basic acorn shape, lights surrounding them, and both have a light that appears to be coming from the bottom of the craft. This acorn shape is very similar to what was seen in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania in 1965.
As time went on, over the next few weeks, he had sightings which he didn't tell anybody about. But other people had sightings as well, and they did publicize in the newspaper. Ed, over the years, he was called all sorts of bad names, shall we say, by the debunkers, and basically told that he was a big hoaxer.
Ed Walters believed in his case, and he never let the skeptics get the best of him. He wrote a book about the whole ordeal where he says, "I'm an average family man. The debunkers describe me as not prominent or outstanding in any perceptible way. When I passed 2 lie detector tests, when I passed 8 hours of psychological tests that proved my sanity, they said nothing. The overwhelming events that rocked my family and our small town will not be hidden away by a few debunkers. Questions will be asked, and the answers will one day be discovered. Who are they and what do they want?"
On what basis did people claim that Ed Walters' story might be a hoax?
You have to understand that virtually any photo could be faked. With a Model 600 Polaroid camera, you press the button and the film comes shooting right out, right? Well, we found out that it is possible to double expose that, but we had to call up the Polaroid people to find out how to do it. And the guy said, you have to stop the motor. Now, Ed took his first picture with that, his first UFO picture with that camera the day after he bought it. Are we supposed to assume that Ed knew more about it than the Polaroid guy did?
A double exposure involves taking a frame of film and exposing it not only to the original image, but also to a second image. The outcome is the images in the picture appear as if they're together in the photo, when in reality they were captured at 2 separate times, but on the same piece of film. A lot of UFO hoaxers use this double exposure technique to make it seem like they've taken a photograph of a genuine UFO.
But the first photo was the one that said, you can't just pass this off completely as double exposed hoax. Because the first one shows the tree blocking part of this object. And you can't do that in a simple double exposure. You could do it with a so-called masked double exposure, where you make a mask that blocks out the background light. But it'd be impossible to do that with one of these handheld cameras. You have to get very accurate registration between, say, the edge of the tree and where the edge of the object is being blocked by the tree.
In the mythology of the Gulf Breeze sightings, it was only Ed Walters that saw the craft, only Ed Walters that took the pictures. So in reality, there were a whole bunch of witnesses before Ed Walters, before he even saw the craft, and a whole bunch of witnesses concurrent with Ed Walters while he was seeing the craft on repeated occasions.
There were a dozen other people who said they saw exactly the same thing, several hundred people who saw something that could have been related. And so you have to ask yourself, does it make any sense to say Ed Walters' photos were a hoax, but everybody else's sightings were real?
Do you think this could possibly be a hoax?
No.
This is only the tip of the iceberg. There are hundreds of UFO and USO sightings here in Gulf Breeze. there could be something in the water, something out there in the ocean that they could be attracted to.